Well, joining me now is Angela Fobbs. She is the Director of Strategic Initiatives, Democrats Abroad. She joins me from Mainz in Germany. Good to have you this weekend. Chicago residents are divided, Fobbs. Some support the deployment of ICE and others oppose it. What is your take on this?
Well, yeah, the people are split, of course. I don't think it's as big of a split as it seems. Some people are scared, and I don't blame them. There's a lot of violence in the United States. There are a lot of gun violence in the United States, and the biggest thing that we could do to solve gun violence is to come up with some laws to limit who can buy guns and who can keep guns. But calling in ICE and calling in the National Guard won't make any difference to that, because there'll still be plenty of Americans in Chicago with guns.
Now, with historical background, can you help us understand how Chicago has been in recent weeks and the crime rate that has led to this? Just last weekend, 11 people were killed, 68 injured.
Well, Chicago has gun violence peaks, and sometimes it ebbs. It's shaped by a concentration of poverty. It's shaped by a long disinvestment in the south and west sides of Chicago. And there's been gang violence in Chicago since the time of gangsters from the early 20th century. So this is not anything new. It would help if we responded with policies that helped prevention and law enforcement and helped with jobs and violence interruption and mental health services. This would make everything better in Chicago, not ICE, not the National Guard.
Okay, so, but don't you think from the statistics that the failure on the part of the governor of that state has led to all of this? I mean, as the chief security, officer of a state, you're meant to, protect the citizens and ensure crime rate reduces. So if the crime rate were low, we wouldn't be here. Trump wouldn't be talking about deploying ICE or the National Guard.
Well, I don't think that that's entirely true. The crime rate in many states is much higher than it is in Chicago. And I can't blame the governor on the crime that's in Chicago. I think that there is an endemic crime problem in the United States that involves guns, and that in 2000, I think it was 2006, that Republican President Bush let some of the gun laws lapse. And ever since then, school shootings, mass murders, just general shootings have gone up. And what we need are gun laws, and we need them now. And we don't need the National Guard. That's not going to solve anything. I wouldn't blame the governor. I wouldn't blame the mayor. This is a problem that the whole United States has. It's not just in one place.
So what is the way forward? What's the solution? If there's an endemic issue, like you did mention, that involves the, gun issues and crime, what's the best way to handle this?
The best way to handle this would be perhaps like some other countries have done, like Australia. They had one mass killing, and then they changed their laws to make semi-automatic weapons illegal. And they bought all the guns back, and they haven't had any kind of major killing like that in decades. And it would be a little bit more difficult in the United States, but it still could be done. And then we need to have programs to help alleviate poverty, to help people with their mental health situations, to help intervene in violent situations. It's not a one and done. It's a multifaceted process that's going to change the United States crime problem.
What can you tell us about what the Mayor Brandon and Governor Pritzker are doing to protect the citizens or residents in Chicago?
Well, it depends on what you mean by protect. They're trying to protect the residents from Donald Trump and ICE. The mayor signed a executive order to tell the people that work for the Chicago city what their duties are, what the people's rights are, and how that they were planning to handle that. And J.B. Pritzker is an awesome governor, and he has publicly rejected the idea of federal troops as an invasion, and that we need to put resources, he said we need to put resources urgently into community safety and other violence prevention actions.
Now, reports say this deployment, if national, will happen, this weekend. What can you tell us about the court stopping Trump from doing so? I know that you did say that Mayor and the Governor Pritzker have, signed some, laws into place. But then, is there apprehension in the air as we speak?
Well, people are definitely apprehensive about this. And there are already legal challenges that have taken place that have created obstacles for deploying troops into cities. And federal judges have recently ruled deployments in places like Los Angeles are unlawful, and civil liberty groups have successfully challenged the fast-track deportation policies. So there are people that are working, including as part of the mayor's executive order. He asked for his legal team to take a look, and I'm sure that if troops are deployed in Chicago, they will be filing suits immediately.
Finally, let's switch to the Department of War. What's the Democrats saying about this new development? I mean, just before we came on live to talk to you, obviously, the department is now the Department of War. Well, that is on the secondary title basis. What do you think Trump is trying to achieve from this?
Well, Trump, he changed the name to the Department of War to instill fear in people about what we're going to do. The Department of War, the name was changed from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in the 50s because the war was over. Yeah. So we are not at war right now, but Trump, Hegseth, they actually have very limited understanding of our history. The reason why everything is named the Department of Defense, because we should be in a defensive posture, not in an aggressive posture. But those two individuals have no ability, no subtlety, and they probably think it's really great. I mean, obviously they do think it's really great. But it's not going to help our allies. It's not going to help the people of the United States. And in fact, it's going to cost billions of dollars for them to rename everything right now, all the paperwork, all the buildings, everything, to the Department of War. So this is just another tactic to scare people and to waste the taxpayers' money. And we'll see what comes next.
So I know I said finally, but then I have to ask you this because this is majorly on social media platforms. Do you think whatever Trump is trying to do is trying to disrupt the midterms? That is what a lot of speculations is saying with regards to National Guard, ICE, and of course this Department of War. All of that, do you believe as a Democrat that he's trying to disrupt what will happen in 2026?
Yes, of course he's trying to disrupt it. That is all that he's been doing since he came into office, is trying to disrupt what will come in 2026, asking the governor of Texas to redistrict everything, saying that, putting out the SAVE Act, telling people that that you can only vote if you have your name matches your birth certificate, and many, many, many more things. Recently, he said he was going to do something about mail-in voting. He wants to win the election by cheating. And as Democrats, we're going to do everything that we can in our power to protect the American people's rights to vote and make sure that the United States honors its constitutional values.
Thank you for your take, Angela Fobbs, on the top stories coming in from the U.S. today. Really appreciate you for the time.